Nongunz Doppelganger Edition is the weirdest roguelike that I have ever played in recent memory. It's even weirder than The Binding of Isaac, and that game was pretty messed up in some places. Nongunz throws you into the game without giving you the slightest idea of how things work in that world, except for the brief controls tutorial, and you're on your own, boy. The game won't tell you where to go. It won't tell you what those buildings outside of the main dungeons are for. It won't tell you how to buy stuff. It won't tell you what the heck you just purchased in one of your runs. It won't tell you what those cards you picked up are for. It won't tell you how to use those truly obscure pause menu items. It just won't tell you anything. Now I can go on and on and on about what the game does not take the effort of telling you. Well, at least not in a clear manner that you would understand. Whatever the game tells you is told in a very cryptic book with no words and just drawings that will take more than an archaeology major to decipher. You just have to play it to learn how the game works. After playing Non-Guns for a couple of hours, I'd like to share what I've figured out so far. So please note that I've never looked into a guide for this game so as not to spoil the enigma of it all. After all, devs do describe this game as, quote unquote, a riddle that demands sacrifice. I guess this whole game is the riddle, and figuring it out blind is my sacrifice. You are a headless skeleton with an affinity to guns. You start off with a pistol that just fires single bullets, and this gun can fire as fast as you can pull the trigger. And pulling the trigger fast is very important in this game, because every time you pull the trigger, you gain 1 point of something that resembles non-guns in-game currency. It's a very unconventional way of earning cash in any game that I've played. Killing enemies, which are a mixed bag of eyeballs, severed limbs, underground drills, and other grotesque monstrosities, build up to a multiplier, and which in turn you earn more cash. You can spend that cash when you meet a skeleton dude that sells you stuff and that you have no idea what it's for. You just know that it's a buff somehow. They usually look like a playing card once they're in your possession, and using them is also confusing because accessing them from the pause menu seems to let you consume them for health, so maybe they can be activated when you get back outside before starting another run, maybe. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. You can also randomly run into caged people or humanoid things in cages that, once you free them, they serve as a multiplier to accumulating currency, something like an idle clicker would do. And the more of them that you have, well, the faster you build up currency, even if you're not firing your gun. I did notice that after suspending the game on the Switch and coming back to it a few hours later, yielded to a lot more currency waiting just for me to splurge on the Reaper's store or the weapon slash skull mural in the center of the hub world. Spending the right amount on the mural gives you the weapon on which you spent it on. I'd assume funneling it into a skull will grant you that skull for the next run. And all these so far, well, in my mind, is where the sense of progression is as a roguelike game. And speaking of skulls, you can pick these up during a run or purchase them in the skull mural before starting a run. Now, these skulls give additional moves or abilities to your pony character, like a dash move or a double jump, I think. About bringing your loot back outside, well, this is done apparently by exiting through a random window from inside the dungeon. Once outside, you can take your loot to a crypt to store them in, maybe for future runs. Um, well, there's also something like a black human shaped mask that apparently you can put stuff in, like skulls or arm bones, but I've never really figured out how to make something useful result from it. Controls also take a bit of getting used to, like shooting upward requires you to press Y to dash facing upwards while firing with the ZR trigger. And as soon as the dash ends, you no longer fire upwards. And it would have been nice if you could control the angle of your shot with the right stick or something, but that wouldn't be too enigmatic now, would it? There's still a lot of things in non guns that make me scratch my head as I play, and maybe I will never have an answer to any of them. That doesn't mean that I didn't like the game. Well, far from it. I really enjoyed this game, and Non-Guns is one of the more unique takes on the roguelike genre. Its unique black and white and a few touches of red graphic style immerses you into this dark and twisted world, a world that I wouldn't mind spending a couple of more hours in. I give Nongunz Doppelganger Edition on the Nintendo Switch a 4 out of 5. So, what do you think of this game? Let us know in the comment section down below. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you for joining me. Do enjoy the rest of this gameplay footage, and I will see you all in the next one.